in the soon-to-be open executive board position from Chief Byers, who's retiring in a couple of weeks. I think that's going to happen at, the chiefs know this because they were all at the meeting, but for Rich, for you, and for Dennis, I think at the next chiefs meeting next month, which is a regular business meeting, I think the board will probably thin that out and recommend a chief to replace Matt. So that'll be moving along.
Slim pickings there, isn't it?
Slim pickings, yeah. So, and Matt's the first of a couple going, I think. So the board's gonna look a little different in the coming months. So that's currently underway, and then I have begun researching body-worn cameras for the agents. We're slow to the game on this because we don't deal with, we're not out dealing with the public quite like the police departments are. But we do some drug interdiction stuff, we do search warrants, we do buy bus, and I really see no logical reason not to go ahead and purchase body-worn cameras. So I'll come back to the board with some costs and sort of a plan of action, and I'll seek approval at that time. But just thought I'd mention it to you guys today and get you a, just give you an early heads up that that's something I'm looking at. The last thing, and the public meeting is new for me, so there's an issue involving litigation with the agency. Is that something that's done in executive session? Yeah. So I think we need to maybe take an executive session and talk about an issue related to litigation. So to me, it's unremarkable, but I still think it should be.
Okay, so before we get there, so we don't have any provision for audience participation. So, we're gonna have a guest speaker, so I'll make a motion that we have Mr. Monreal speak. I need a second, and then make sure everybody votes on that, okay?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Sam Roberts, my father. Hopefully you can hold that against him.
We won't.
But it's bad. So my name's Jeff Monreal, I'm funeral director. It's been in my family for 5 generations. I worked at the East Lake location for 10 years, and then I started my own funeral home in Gainesville here about a year ago. So I've been in the industry basically all my life. I called Rich a couple weeks ago, and I told him I was interested in doing something about the fentanyl overdoses and just overdoses in general. When I started with my own funeral home about 10 years ago, my first 5 out of 7 calls were overdoses, and I dealt with, for whatever reason, I was always dealing with like a single mother, and she's sitting there crying about her son or daughter that had passed away. And as you guys know, it can hit any family. I have 2 teenagers, and I'm a little scared, and I'm a funeral director. I'm scared for my own kids that, maybe one night they'll just make a mistake, and then they'll go to bed, and I'll find them the next morning, and I'll be in the people's shoes that I've been dealing with. And, so I heard a mother talk on the TV about, her son that had passed away, and it just really grabbed me. What are we doing here in Lake County to get the word out to our younger adults, the word out to our kids in school? Can we do better? Is there something I can do to help? I'm a great organizer. I'm involved in a lot of charity and things like that around the community. And I would like to do whatever I can from a voice outside of you guys that could be a champion to try to get maybe some mothers or people that, because a lot of times what happens, guys, when I meet with a family, they're either embarrassed to talk about it with the public because they don't want to know, they don't want people that know that their kid died of an overdose. I meet with young people that just passed for whatever reason. And the first thing they ask me is like, it wasn't an overdose, so how do we put it in the paper that it wasn't, you know? So that's kind of the stigma with parents is, but then there are a lot of people that want to do something. But we don't really have, I don't have anything to tell them where they can, you know, so their kid's life didn't die in vain, you know? And so if you know, part of my thought was, you know, if we could get some parents that might be interested in talking about, you know, their experience and how it happened to them. You know, marijuana, it starts with marijuana as we know, and then it goes into another, you know, it could be the kid was out partying and, you know, they had these fentanyl pills that look like candy, and they took a couple, and the next thing they know, they weren't waking up that morning. I've dealt with 18-year-olds who have overdosed. You know, there's a lot of depression from COVID, the mask wearing, you know, that are leading kids and pushing kids online. You know, you go online and learn about anything and everything, as you know. So that's really why, you know, I was invited here today, was to just start the conversation. And, you know, if you guys have any ideas of what you think I could do to maybe rally some parents and get the words out to our younger kids. You know, the kids are allowed to read a lot of things in school about things that we don't agree with. Why can't we warn them more about the dangers of drugs and you know, I was young too. I you know, went to North. There was drugs everywhere if you wanted them. And I know it's available, and I know it seems like a hard thing to envision, like how can this work, but I would be willing to do whatever, you know, you guys have any suggestions for what I should do to get the word out of the dangers of fentanyl and overdosing. If we could save a few people's lives, I'd be willing to put in the time.
Well, I think just a couple of things. You're a month off and coming to meetings, but you wouldn't have been happy if you'd have come last month. I had a lot of news about this. Unfortunately, it was all bad news. Just a couple of things to kind of parrot what you're saying, I suppose, or, you know, you're seeing it anecdotally day in and day out when you're working, right? And just to kind of let you know. So I track OD deaths each year in Lake County. The governor's office cooperates with me, and we do that. OD deaths totaled 75 in 2022, and that was up from 67 in 2021. Mostly it was consistent with the 78 deaths that we had in 2020. The highest year was 2016 or 17 or 18. I think it's 17 maybe, but I might have the year wrong. It was 92. We don't have, I don't know the number. We have 15 car fatalities a year maybe, give or take. That's a guess, but I bet it's close. And we're averaging over 70 overdose deaths for the last decade. This bothers me in the same way it bothers you. I did this as a first responder. I did this running a traditional detective bureau, and now I'm seeing it out here working on full-time drug cases. Our agency partners with Signature Health and the Adams Board. We've done some billboard campaigns. We do a referral program that we call Project Connect that we get grant money from the state of Ohio for, where when we encounter addicts, which as you can imagine, the Narcotics Agency encounters addicts on a pretty regular basis, we provide them with some information to try to get, you know, refer them for mental health and addiction services. With all of that said, there's a lot more that can be done. If you're willing to stick around today after the meeting, I'd be happy to talk with you a little bit privately about some thoughts, about maybe some stuff. You know, we're an enforcement agency mostly, but we do outreach, we do some training, we do some awareness. and we're always happy to come to different forums, like send agents out to talk to people, that kind of stuff. The other things I maybe can help you partner with some people that are more on that side of the table that, will have, maybe already have some of that captive audience that you're trying to reach a little bit. And then as far as the school stuff, schools are a little bit of a tricky situation. Signature Health does, the Adamsport and Signature Health do a lot in the schools with elementary and middle school aged kids, but you wouldn't necessarily always immediately think of it as an anti-drug message. It's more about self-esteem, it's more about role models, it's more about trusted adults, that kind of stuff, because you got to get these kids early, because by about 8th grade, they're, as you remember from school, you kind of start identifying which kids are going in what direction by about middle school, right? So there's a lot going on with that probably I can put you in touch with somebody that can speak a little better to it. And then the other thing, we partner with the state of Ohio, and it's this thing called the DREAM program, which is drug resistance education and mentoring. And that's a program where the state has put some money into these videos that school resource officers, health teachers, guidance counselors, they can use these videos to augment their own teaching when it comes to things like drugs and addiction. It's as simple as cartoon stuff for little kids all the way up through high school, where it's role models. There's athletes that have started making videos. There's judges, there's law enforcement, there's an astronaut, there's business people, who try to put a message out there. But there's room for more to be done, and I'm always looking for somebody that's passionate about what's going on. So we can talk a little more after, if that's okay. So.
I was thinking for the sheet from last month, because Jeff, when we got the sheet for the overdoses for the year, there's no specific age group. I mean, I'm always surprised to see there's people in their 50s and 60s, and I think we had one that was over 70 that OD'd from heroin. The numbers are
I
surprising.
think if you have people coming to you, kids, daughters, sons, husbands, wives who passed away over overdoses and are willing to talk about that, and you have a collection of them, I think putting together a professional video with them speaking about this in Lake County,
Yeah.
that could be used a lot of places. It could be used on our own websites or Facebooks, but it could be taken into schools. And just yesterday on Capitol Hill, they had a hearing on fentanyl, and a mother whose two sons, 19 and 20, died on the same day, same overdose, was relaying her story, and quite captivating is not the word, but very engrossed in what she had to say. And it's those personal stories combined with the faces of those individuals. Like her kids were shown, like in their soccer uniform, or in this group photo with kids, and combining what they're saying with that makes a huge impact. And it's no longer a story from California or Texas, it's a story from Lake County here that can make an impact and be shown in our schools at every age. That could reach a lot of people, and I think that would, you could put in maybe some police officers or judges say a little bit, but it's those people who have been impacted that would make the biggest impact in terms of drawing.
Yeah, so it
into.
sounds like there's resources available, just
This,
maybe not directly with us, but Pat can give you some, certainly give you some
I think
ideas.
with that opiate task
yeah,
force.
that's what I was just gonna say. I mean, this dovetails pretty well with some of the conversations we had with the Lake County Opiate Task Force.
Yes.
Now, I always confuse the names, and there's two, and there's the one that's made up more of citizens, and there's one made up more of agencies, and I'm talking about the agency one.
13 one,
What's that?
the one that
that Adams Board puts
Yeah,
together.
Well, they had something this morning too, because I know Judy was on the call for the
Yeah, so-
camera check.
So this doves a little bit with what we were just talking about, is maybe making some videos, maybe, so you're right on message with some of the stuff we're already thinking about.
If it's
and
interested,
talking about,
I'm sure we can help you.
So we can, I think you and I can talk quite a bit. Yeah, I don't have any problem with that.
Just to speak to Jeff's character, I've known Jeff for quite a long time. He does do a lot. He was at the Travis Mills Foundation this past year. He raised money for a lot of money. He's done that, I don't know how many years in a row now, a golf outing, and he has a different, but he called me literally days after our last meeting. And it's easy to come away from here going, what can you do? You know, you feel like you can't do anything. He said, and he called and says, hey, I'm tired of burying my friends' kids. What are we gonna do? And that's how he reached out to me. So my first thought was to bring him here and see what resources available and where can we put that energy in the right direction. So if he, you know, and I think Jeff says he's gonna do it, I know he's the guy who's gonna do it, and he can get that group together. And if we can do that, I think that's an impactful way to prevent. I know you guys are on the other side to take it down. But
Yeah, but we say, I see, listen, we're not gonna arrest our way out of this. We all understand that. We've been at this now forever. And every time we think we take a step in the right direction, then a more deadly analog comes out, or the prevalence of what we're seeing goes up, or like now we're seeing this weird resurgence of crystal methamphetamine, which was not a thing 5 years ago in Lake County. So, you know, no matter what you do, there's outside factors that keep making this a challenge for us. So the outreach and the education is just as important as the enforcement. I mean, it's not a either or game, it's a both. You have to be, you know, there's room.
take
to
away
do
the
both.
demand.
Yeah. Yes, yeah, 100%. And you know, this Project Connect that we do, we refer all these people from mental health services, and 2 or 3 take advantage and come out the other side and stay sober for a year or 2 years. That's a win. I mean, I'd rather focus on the 2 or 3 that change than the 25 for every 2 or 3 that we had no success with. And, you know, you give them a pamphlet, you explain who they can talk to, you tell them they can call now, you arrange a follow-up call from a service provider to them, and it all's for naught, you know, but 1 out of 10 or 12 or 15 or 20 takes advantage of it. So, you know, there's room to do both, and I think if I'm not the right guy for you to talk to, I'm at least the right start for you, I think, and then we can, there's some other people in the county that are very active on this kind of stuff, so.
Yeah, I think
so
that
talk
the
about that.
videos, you know, that's, everybody watches videos.
Sure.
And that's really where it hits, when you get to see the face, or you see the brother, the sister, or the mother. So that's a great suggestion, and I do have some ties with people that, you know, do stuff with me for my IT, with the videos, and hitting them, the kids young. That's very important. And the parents of the young, you know, that they understand that's when you really need to look for those warning signs and do something about it. So, thank you.
No, you're very welcome.
All right. Let's go into executive session to discuss the